Are you a runner? Whether you're a recreational runner or a competitive one, every runner should incorporate these 4 exercises into your weekly routine because they allow us to work on the different components of our running gait in the running gait cycle. In running, we have 2 main phases, the stance phase and the swing phase. Stance phase makes up 40% of our running gait and the swing phase makes up 60% of our running gait. The stance component is then broken down into 3 main phases where we have initial contact, mid-stance, and toe-off. Then we have the swing phase, which can be broken down into initial, mid, and terminal swing. At each part of our running gait cycle, we're propelling forward with coordination with our upper body, landing on one leg at a time. Because we're always landing on one leg at a time during running, I cannot stress enough the importance of getting stronger in our single leg movements. I think all runners should incorporate single leg strength exercises into your weekly training routine to work on potential asymmetries and imbalances in strength and range of motion in our muscles and joints. This video is going to be focused on teaching you my favorite exercises for runners, so these exercises will be primarily used to strengthen the lower body to optimize our running gait cycle in propelling us forward while optimizing hip stability to make us run faster and be more efficient. These exercises will prime our lower extremities to allow us to manage the repetitive nature of running and the stresses that running places on our body to prevent overuse injuries. While stresses do make us stronger, stresses placed on our bodies are good for us when our body can handle them. But when there are too many stresses and the body cannot handle or manage them, they can be bad for us and may lead us to injuries. That is why over 90% of runners actually suffer an injury each year. To me, that statistic is quite alarming. So let's nip these running injuries in the bud by following this simple routine of my favorite strength exercises for runners. So the first exercise I have for you is the hip dominant reverse lunge. And what you want to be doing is, because it is a hip dominant movement, you want to lean your torso forward slightly. And when you're driving up, your 3 points of contact is on that front foot. Squeeze your hip and drive up. 3 points of contact, squeeze, drive up. 3 points of contact, squeeze, drive up. And then to add in the arms, coordinate that running gait type movement. When you're coming up, I would just get this marching going first. So then when you come down into that lunge, you know exactly what to do with that arm. So step back, torso forward, drive up, step back, drive up. And then same thing on the other side, like so. Come down, drive, come down, drive, come down. So that is the exercise, and I like to prescribe about 3 sets of 20 on each side. So the second exercise is the side plank on your knee with leg lift. So this one works the stability of your hip muscles on the side of the hips. You want to be on your elbow, and you're gonna go into that side plank position on your knee. Make sure your core is engaged. You're going to lift your leg up like so. And when you're doing this, you wanna focus on using this hip to support you. And when you're lifting this leg up, you want to make sure you're using this outer lateral glute muscle to lift it up. This is also called your gluteus medius muscle. So this exercise, I like to prescribe 3 sets of 20 on each side. I'm just going to demonstrate on the other side now. So again, on your knee, you want to make sure your whole body is aligned in a straight line. Go into that side plank first, and then lift up the leg. So 3 sets of 20 for this one. So the third exercise is a single leg Romanian deadlift. So for this exercise, you want to make sure 3 points of contact on your working leg foot. You're going to stand on one leg, making sure your balance is good without scrunching your toes, and you're going to come down into a hip hinge. Come back up. Come down into a hip hinge, come back up, and come down into a hip hinge, come back up. So from the side view, how you want to do a hip hinge is basically a slight knee bend, and you're going to hinge your hip all the way back like so. So hip back, push through the ground with your feet, 3 points of contact, and squeeze your bum to come back up. Like so. So you want to feel when you're at that hinge here, you want to feel a pull. All of this should be pulling, making sure the back is not rounded or curved. Make sure your core is engaged. Push your hips back as much as you can. Feel the stretch. Push through the ground to come up. Hips back. Push through the ground to come up. Once you get the hang of that, that's when you want to do it on a single leg and work on this here. So with the single leg, you want to make sure your hips stay as level as you can, meaning as horizontal as you can, and your hip is not hiking up like so when you're doing it. So no hiking of the hip. Hiking of the hip would look something like this. So you want to make sure the hip stays nice and level. For this exercise, I like to prescribe 3 sets of 10. So the last exercise I have for you is the single leg calf raise. So for this exercise, I like to hold on to something because this one, I don't really care too much for balance. So hold on to something, and when you're doing this calf raise, make sure the knee is straight, and you're gonna come up onto your toes as high as you possibly can while keeping the knee straight, and come back down. Up, come back down. Up, come back down, and make sure when you're doing this, the heel is not going in and your ankle is not rolling out. Ankle rolling out will look something like this. And you want to make sure you're going straight up, and come back down, straight up, and come back down. Feel free to do it on top of a step if you want it to be more challenging and you want to come down into that little bit of a stretch for that Achilles. But if you don't have access to a step, just do it like this. And I like to prescribe 3 sets of 20 for this one. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and learned a thing or two about the importance of training specific muscle groups if you want to be a better runner and optimize your movement patterns to minimize the risk for injuries. If you have family and friends who are also runners, feel free to share this video with them so you can all benefit from this simple strength training guide for runners. And if you took away a thing or two from the video, please hit the like button down below, and if you want more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel for future content.